Due to heavy persecution and the murder of their leader, Joseph Smith, Latter-day Saint pioneer refugees, also known as Mormons, fled the United States and entered the Salt Lake Valley under the leadership of Brigham Young. Things started to quickly get complicated for the Native Americans in Utah. And this is a part of Utah's history that can be hard, especially for me as both a Latter-day Saint and a Native American. The Latter-day Saint side of the story has been promoted over and over again, even to the point that we have a state holiday called Pioneer Day celebrating their arrival. But for natives, that can be a day signaling the beginning of the end. And their side of the story isn't really told. And that's what I hope to do on this channel. I do think the Saints tried to work with the natives. Brigham Young would say that it was cheaper to feed the Indians than to fight them. And we need to remember that the Saints were violently forced out of their homes, fleeing like refugees for safety. So they weren't really initially acting like many colonizers do, or greedy gold seekers do, or like how government armies go out to try to claim land. There's good that the Saints tried to do, but unfortunately, much of it failed due to two different ways of how they treated the land. I also think that the Saints lived in a culture of racism that most American white settlers dealt with at that time. This was the time of African slavery and white superiority. The Saints even passed a law that seemingly legalized Indian slavery, but it's much more complicated than that. Brigham Young's motive for it was to try to save Native American women and children from the slave trade. He would share an account of how a Ute warrior tried to sell two Paiute slave children to some saints. And when the saints refused, the Ute warrior killed one of the children and demanded that they pay to save the other. So Brigham Young and church leaders legalized the Act for the Relief of Indian Slaves and Prisoners by offering servitude instead of slavery to protect natives from the Mexican slave trade and to offer them the chance to be set free later. But while the Saints may have tried, major disasters still followed.